What up, what up? Welcome on into Inside Baylor Sports, the official daily podcast of Baylor Athletics. On today's show, we sit down with sophomore Josh Ojonwuna from Baylor men's basketball as he gets us ready for tonight's quarterfinal game. We'll also recap the Big 12 Women's Basketball Championship from Kansas City and look ahead to this weekend's selection show for the women. Don't forget, you can catch Inside Baylor Sports every weekday. You can also watch the video version for free over at BaylorPlus.com and on our Baylor Athletics YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, rate, and review the pod, and follow Baylor Plus today on X, Instagram, and Facebook. It's the official content network of Baylor Athletics. Think Netflix for your Baylor Bears. Download the app today on your mobile device and sign up for your free 7-day trial at BaylorPlus.com. It's Thursday, March 14th, 2024. Justin Hoff alongside Corey Bolts and 2019 national champion Caitlin Bickle. Always great to have the trio, right? All of us in the same room. It's never easy because you two are busy, but looking forward to this pod.
Oh, definitely. I don't know if we're the busy ones or if you're the busy one. I think the challenge is all of our schedules, but it's always a good time when the three of us are together. And I love nothing more than being able to talk basketball with Bickle and being able to steal these moments of having her with us virtually, I guess, but with us nonetheless. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
All right, let's take a look at it. Caitlin, obviously the Big 12 Women's Basketball Championship is over. The Big 12 tournament in the books. Texas won it. What's your kind of overall reaction to what you saw in the tournament? Any surprises? Your biggest takeaways?
I will say I was a little shocked at obviously the Texas and K-State game was really good. I wasn't surprised about that. Every time they've played each other, it's been really competitive this year. I was shocked about the Iowa State and Oklahoma score. You know, Iowa State kind of blowing them out, and then Texas kind of getting the big win against them in the championship. But just little things. You know, I think the game against Iowa State kind of gave me PTSD because we lost pretty much the same way my fifth year there against Iowa State, and they kind of came back from behind. But not too many surprises. I think we kind of called it. TCU beating Oklahoma State. I figured maybe TCU could give Oklahoma a run for their money, but unfortunately they didn't. But no surprise that Texas won it. Texas played a great tournament. I think they finally just kind of have all the pieces together. You know, I think this year they've been dealing with injuries kind of left and right, so I wasn't very surprised that they kind of pulled out the championship.
Corey, for you, anything that really stood out? I'm still a little bit stunned that K-State with Ayoka Lee, they just have not quite put all the pieces together. They're not the same team they were before she got injured, but was a little surprised that they didn't make a bigger run. And then also, as Caitlin said, that the championship game wasn't closer, particularly with all those Iowa State fans there.
Yeah, I love the call out with K-State. They're one that I had my eyes on at the beginning of the season because there was a lot of talk from several different folks about Lee and her impact on the court and the difference maker that she can be. So not that they've had a bad season by any stretch, but I think I expected a little bit more from them. And Iowa State, man, I don't know what's up with Iowa State. Not in a bad way, but they just are getting people's number and having success, which yay for them, I guess. But I was just expecting a more competitive championship game. I didn't think that it would be the outcome that it was. And to your point, Justin, about the proximity of Iowa State to Kansas City, I anticipated their fans to help create as much of a home game atmosphere as possible for them. But Caitlin talked about Texas, and Texas has been strong and they've been doing well. And clearly that game showed they're a little bit too much for Iowa State in that situation. But the path that Iowa State had to get to them, I mean, they had some games that they had to win, and some of those were a little bit more of a battle than the game they ended up playing for the championship. But man, I just felt like they had everybody's number until they got to Texas. And then that game was a little bit less exciting than the others for sure.
Okay, well, we never want to send anyone through PTSD again. Okay, but Caitlin, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Okay, so let's go back to Iowa State, our game where our fans want to focus, the Iowa State game. What'd you see there? What happened in that fourth quarter where essentially Baylor struggled to find some offense and Iowa State got to the free throw line and made us pay?
Yeah, and I will say one thing I actually really like that Coach Tony and Nikki and them have pulled out the last couple games when they've been down is their press. I honestly really love their full court press because I think they have the length, they have the speed to do that against teams, and I almost want to see it a little bit more, especially when teams aren't used to it. And it's tough. It's tough because Iowa State's very different, in my opinion, compared to a lot of teams in our league. Iowa State's not going to foul you. They're not. It doesn't. You beat them. Go get your layup. They're not going to foul you. Like, it's very rare for them to do that. It's more like, okay, you go score. You make an easy layup or a shot, and then we'll come back and we'll do our thing. They're not like aggressive like Texas and K-State defensively. I thought we did a fantastic job exposing, like we talked about lineups a couple times this year, and I thought when you put Dre at the 5, and you have, we basically had 5 shooters out there. I mean, you had Bella at the 4, you had, I think, Yaya, Jana, and Sarah in all with them. Those are all shooters. Like, you have to respect every single one of them. So when you put Dre at the 5 and we kept getting stops defensively, Iowa State couldn't get back into their 2-3 zone, and we exposed them, and Dre had 2, 3, 4 threes in that game. They call a timeout, and I'm literally texting Justin during the game. I'm like, well, as long as they don't go into a 2-3 zone, we got this. Like, as soon as the timeout comes out, they're out in their 2-3 zone. We get stagnant. We're settling for threes. There were a couple times we went for layups at the beginning, missed them, missed wide open ones, which usually when you attack, a lot of the times when you're playing teams like West Virginia, K-State, Texas, Oklahoma, like all those top teams are very, very aggressive. Big 12 is known for that. And Iowa State is kind of the little one that doesn't, like, they don't do that. Like, they're going to make you kind of get your own and figure it out. And so I think we missed like several layups in the game where I'm like, that was a great drive. We just we're not finishing. Like, we're almost kind of like wanting the bailout for them to foul us when it's like, you just got to go finish a layup. And then I think that kind of caused us to just settle. I thought we did a good job at the beginning of the game attacking the middle of the zone. Dre did a great job catching it in the middle, attacking the rim, drawing a foul, and we didn't do that in the second half. We kind of just were passing around. I mean, Bella, I think, was 3 for 10. Jana went 0 for. You saw Sarah didn't get a ton of shots because Iowa State is going to always lean towards Sarah. I mean, a lot of teams are always going to lean towards Sarah. But that was just kind of the factor. I think our defense got a ton of stops. It's just we didn't translate those stops to any offense whatsoever. So it was kind of like, okay, we're putting all this work in. We're getting into foul trouble. I mean, you always expect fouls in a press. I wasn't mad about that, but it's the fact we're not even scoring off the press. We're getting shots, and we're just, we're not completing any offensive points past our defense. So I think that was just a huge kind of factor in that. I mean, I thought we played great. It was just the fact that we couldn't finish some simple shots and layups against them.
Yeah, and it's a tough thing. Maybe I shouldn't have texted you, Caitlin, because Corey, just so you know, I was like, we got this game in the bag. But once again, I don't believe in jinxes. Okay, I don't.
I don't either.
They're not stopping in the timeout and saying what some slap in Waco, Texas is saying, right? Like, we got this game in the bag because Caitlin said it, but we did not have the game in the bag, unfortunately. But there's always the next game. And you got to move past this game, right, Corey? This is one game. It's in the Big 12 tournament. Let bygones be bygones. It's over with.
It's over with, and we have goals we have ahead of ourselves, and that's what we have to focus on now. Yes, we may have had a desire to do better in the Big 12 tournament, compete for the Big 12 championship. That didn't happen. So why didn't it happen? And Caitlin mentioned it, some easily missed shots, some small tweaks we need to make. Let's make those tweaks, and then let's prepare for the dance, the tournament time, because at this point it's one and done. We don't get multiple opportunities anymore. We're at the point of the season where we have to bring our best game every time we step out on the court. And that is our best way of ensuring that we continue to progress and go deep into March and hopefully into April. So yeah, we have to have short-term memory. Have to have very short-term memory. learn from the lessons, but let's not dwell on them and then have that be an inhibitor to where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do.
Yesterday, we caught up with sophomore forward Josh Ojonwuna. We began by discussing Josh's story and when he first started playing basketball. Talk to us about, kind of go back in your story. You're from Nigeria. We know you played in the NBA Global Academy in 2019, but when did you first begin playing basketball?
Like actual basketball, I would say 2017. Yeah,
Okay.
2017 is when I actually played like my first basketball year. My actual basketball, like would like put on a jersey and with like reps and stuff.
So talk to us about the NBA Global Academy. We've heard a lot about this. Tremendous players have come out of this. So how do you get involved in that, and what was that experience like in the Global Academy?
So I remember that I went to like a basketball tournament in Lagos, where I played. Then my guardian, Olumide, was at the game, and he said, that is like there's a chance for me to go out for a tryout at the NBA Academy in Senegal. So I went to Senegal for the camp and tryout, and I went there for like I think it was a week. Then I went home. Then I got a call and saying like I've been accepted to come join the NBA Academy in Africa. So I was at the NBA Academy in Africa for like 2 years. Then I moved from Africa to Australia. That's the Global Academy, where I spent like almost 2 years before I got an offer from Baylor to come play college basketball in the U.S.
Okay, so how'd you first hear about Baylor? It came the offer there. Who was the lead recruiter with you there?
Coach Jacobs was the one who recruited me.
Okay, and then you fast forward here at Baylor. Now you're a sophomore. Talk to us about year one to year two and that transition. And is the college game slowing down for you now some?
Yeah, it is. It is slowing down. For me, I feel like my freshman year, coming in like having no experience of college basketball, but also was kind of difficult for me. But also playing behind like 50-year seniors and like 40-year seniors like Flo and John, going practicing with them and stuff like that really helped me to prepare for my second year, like my sophomore year this season. I feel way more confident playing because I feel like I've went through the like baby step or the hard step my freshman year. So be confident now my sophomore year, and also like playing with someone like John who's been here for 50 years, and he's like he has more knowledge than me, and like he talks to me every time of like what to do and how to get better. So I feel like that helped me a lot.
Yeah, wanted to ask you about the battles there. Obviously, John, kind of like an older brother, and then Eve, just a little bit younger than you, so like a younger brother. You guys, I mean, that's quite the trio of guys. What's practice like when you guys are battling against each other?
For me, I feel like there's no you can't. I just say like no, you have to go at each other every time to get because for me, I feel like going at each other like every time with the same energy, intensity, and stuff helps each and every one of us be better as a big. So like there's no breaks or like I told John every time like if you want to bust me out like hit me out hard because you're getting me prepared for like the match madness and like the NCAA tournament. Like so at the end of the day, I already know like I've been through this in practice, so it's nothing new for me. So I just gotta like keep like going, keep working out. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're at the Big 12 tournament. You played in this last year. How does that experience kind of help you this year? This isn't the first time you've done this.
I feel like the experience have helped me a lot. Like I said, it's always good to like go through something the first time, and the second time coming in, being more confident and stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, I've been here, even though we didn't go so far last year. We're coming in this year and knowing like, yeah, we're coming in to like win the whole tournament and like come back home with the championship and stuff. So yeah, I feel like I'm way prepared for that through like playing last year and knowing the way everything is gonna be, like the intensity, like competition and stuff. So yeah, I feel like I'm ready to go.
Well, you just got out of a team meeting room. I was going to ask you a little bit, just kind of the overall take there, the mindset. I've been in those rooms. Coach Drew, I know he jumps around and he's excited and energized and things like that. But what's the overall mindset of the team right now? Is it just, hey, we're going to go win this title?
The overall mindset is being the first team to win a Big 12 tournament champion. because apparently we haven't won one yet. So I feel like we have the chip on our shoulder of being known as the first Baylor men's basketball team to win the Big 12 tournament. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good motivation right there in and of itself. Just a couple more for you. Getting Langston Love back in the fold, one of your running mates, as you guys are typically the first two off the bench. What does he bring to your team?
I feel like Langston is someone who comes in and he doesn't think about himself. He comes in thinking about the team. He comes in like knowing he can drive and make plays for others. Also on defense, he's like a leader for the guards, like he talks and stuff. So I feel like that kind of energy coming off the bench helps the team. And also sometimes when the team, like sometimes we start flat and he's coming in with that kind of energy to like keep the team going, I feel like that helps us a lot.
Yeah, what's it like coming off the bench there? You know, you kind of have to adjust a little bit. You watch the flow of the game, and then you come in and you have to make an impact. Is that different? You seem like you've really gotten in a groove there.
Yeah, I feel like to me, staying on the bench actually I don't take that as like a punishment or like, oh, I'm not starting. No, I feel like staying on the bench is like helping you to study the game and like for the first few minutes to see what like, okay, like how do I stop this big? What do I do on defense? Like what do I have to do on offense? So at least the time you're still on the bench, you're out there studying what to do. So like when you come in, you know, okay, yeah, I'm ready because I've seen what this big can do. Or if he's gonna drive right, I already know he's gonna drive right. Like you're coming in with a ready mindset, you know, like, yeah, I have to screen because I feel like that's not what we're doing. I have to rebound, like I have to hit people, like find shots for my teammates. So I feel like staying on the bench actually helps you get ready for when you have to like come into the game.
A student of the game. Love that. You're really studying as you watch the game kind of flow. Now, tomorrow you play the winner of Kansas, Cincinnati. How do you prepare for a game that you don't know who you're going to play just yet?
For me, I feel like we're actually prepared because I might put this in the perspective of we've played both teams. So we're probably like, okay, if we're going to play Kansas, we played them before, so we know what to expect. Also, to like if we're going to play Cincinnati, we've played them before too, and we know what to expect. So I feel like we're already like ready, and the mindset of like any team that's going to win, we're already ready because we know we've been to the game plan before, and we know we are ready to play them.
All right, final one for you, man. You could ask this to any of your teammates. We could go up and down the roster, but just generally speaking, what's it like to play in the best conference in all of college basketball, the Big
12? For me, I feel like it's a blessing because I know some of my friends who I call and like tease them sometimes saying, "Oh, like I'm playing in the best conference, Big 12 conference, best conference in the world. Like, what conference are you playing in?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm playing in this." I'm like, "Bro, I feel like my conference is way better than yours." So like, I feel like I have a chip on my chest when I tease my friends saying, "Big 12 is the best conference in the world." So yeah.
All right, man. Well, good luck to you there in Kansas City. Looking forward to watching you tomorrow night and really appreciate your time, Josh.
Yeah, thank you.
Looking forward to tonight's game, 8:30 Central Time. Looking forward to that one from the T-Mobile Center. Okay, let's look ahead to this weekend, one of my favorite weekends. Caitlin, you've been a part of many of these weekends. I know me and Corey have been watching from afar and always excited. But the selection show, the leading up to this, not knowing who you're playing, just not knowing, right? A lot of what ifs. What's this week like, the waiting game?
I won't say the waiting game is as bad. I mean, we talked about it. I guess this week it's more like focusing on yourself. You know, it's hard sometimes. You can't really be anxious until that very moment kind of happens, like until Sunday comes. Just because it's kind of like this is the week that you have to just focus on yourself. You know, Corey had said it before, like just tweaking little things, like making sure everyone's firing on all cylinders leading up to it. I will say last year when we really had no clue where we were going to be at, that was definitely like one of the highest, like that was a very anxious moment for me because we're like, I think we were way off too. Like, I don't even remember which seed we were last year, but we had no clue. Like we thought we had not a single clue. Every time one came by, we're like, oh, and then it didn't happen. And we're like, okay, next one for sure. Like, let's just wait another 15 minutes. But I think it's exciting. I think obviously we'll get a higher seed this year than last year. And I think it's always difficult because I think we have so many great Big 12 teams. So it's always interesting to see kind of how the NCAA kind of aligns people where they put them based off of, we have a ton of top 25 wins, but maybe we've lost to some unranked, like we lost to Iowa State that was unranked. Oklahoma wasn't ranked as high when we lost to them. But some of our other losses are obviously, like, you think about, we lost to Texas. They're probably going to be a 2 or 3, probably a 2 seed. K-State's going to be up there. So obviously we competed with some really great teams this year. But I hope they just, are excited about it. I hope it's more of like an excitement kind of opportunity. Like Corey said, it's win or go home. And I'd rather them be more excited than nervous about it, because they really have nothing to lose at this point. It's not like they have any expectations. So just kind of taking one game at a time.
Well, on Sunday, we're going to have a Baylor Plus selection show live beginning at 4:45 Central Time on BaylorPlus.com. We'll take you through the selection shows on the men's side to start, interviews with coaches, players, analysts. Going to be a ball of fun on Sunday. Caitlin and Oben will join me. I promise that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk a lot of matchups, right? That's the key word, Corey. Matchups. And Caitlin sounded real. I mean, I don't know if she's being 100%. Like, man, she sounds real, like, chill about everything. But I want to know who we're playing, right? Where we're going, what it looks like.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, Justin. I think what's most interesting about Sunday for me is the path to the championship. So, like, where do they have us? And then who's on that path to get us to the Final Four and ultimately to the championship? That's what I'm most intrigued by. And Caitlin mentioned it, right? How does the NCAA go about making those decisions, and how do you choose where to place people? But that's where I am. Like, what region are we in? What is our path? What does it look like? How does that then compare to other people's paths? That's where I tend to live, but I can live there because I'm not the one on the court. I don't have to do that part. I don't have to do that part of it. So it's interesting to hear it from the player standpoint of just in situations where there's a little bit more uncertainty about where you may land, the feeling of that and how that goes. But for me, knowing that we're going to be in it, I think what's most interesting to me is looking at that overall path to the Final Four and what that is. And what that means for the team. So excited for it, but it'll be interesting.
See, I will say the one thing players worry about, Corey, I worry about now that we haven't, because we've hosted, we usually always host.
Yes.
It is where you play. I will say no one wants to be at UConn last year, but again, no one wants to go play at South Carolina. No one wants to go play because those gyms get 15 plus that,
Yeah.
So I think that's the one thing that players are get a little anxious about is, okay, if you make it down that path and all of a sudden you have to play the host team, it's kind of like, well, here we go. I think that's the biggest part that players I think worry about sometimes.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to get into this Sunday more, but Baylor has 6 top 25 wins this season. That's one more win than they had 2 years ago when we won the Big 12 championship and were one of the top seeds. So this team has been battle tested. They defeated Texas on the road at the end of December. So that's a big time win on the road. I know Texas was kind of, Rory Harmon just went down. There was some movement there, but that was a huge win for us. And Sarah Andrews had a big time game. So there's a lot of pieces here where Baylor could, like a lot of teams. I mean, on the men's and women's side, it's very unpredictable, Corey. I mean, your team could win in the first round, lose in the first round. You could make it to the Final Four. I mean, it's really difficult to pick. And that's why we said when you're filling out those brackets, us not for money, just bragging rights, just putting that out there. But when you're filling that out, good luck. I don't have a lot of advice.
No advice at all. My advice was to have somebody's toddler fill it out for them, and that's going to be the winning bracket. I stand by that. I may try that this year. But this is why I love this time of year. What you just described is why I love this time of year, because it truly is anyone's for the taking. Rankings matter in the turn, at least on the women's side, so that you get to host and you have that benefit of a home court advantage. But outside, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It is literally anybody's game. And that there's nothing like March Madness to me in terms of competition and people just literally competing every game in, game out. And some end up being blowouts, which is fine, but we get some amazing upsets. You see some awesome Cinderella stories. You see people that were written off doing great things, and you see people that we expected to do great things to do great things. It's the uncertainty that happens during this time frame, which is why people's productivity in the office goes down, because everybody's going to be glued to television screens or smartphones or multiple windows on your computer screen trying to watch it, because it's such an exciting time for sports fans because of the high stakes that this period brings and the fact that anybody could come out on any day and end up successful.
And this year, Caitlin gets to watch it like us. Give me a different perspective.
Yeah. I will say, I talked to my dad about this. I don't know how it came up, but I think we were just talking about tournament last year and this year. And Corey talks about, the men's is a little bit different. Obviously, upsets still happen. I think a ton of more upsets have happened on the men's and women's side of basketball since probably COVID. Transfers have been happening, a lot of 1 years, different things like that. But I think the biggest aspect is like men don't host. They just have random locations that are already set. And I think that's kind of the one thing. Like, obviously, I think it's really fun that women's basketball hosts, you do that stuff. But it's also like some upsets just aren't going to happen. Like instead of being at a neutral site, like I think that causes more of like anything could kind of happen. Like, depends on who travels. Like, it's not like you just have a crowd behind you. And I think I really noticed that last year being in UConn's environment. I think even, not saying that the refs affect it, but refs do affect. I mean, when we used to play and we were a number 1 seed and we played at Baylor my first couple of years and we were up there, I swear, like some of the calls were like, yep, okay, it's Baylor. Like even in non-conference, you see it all the time. Like we'll look at them and like, why didn't you call that? And they're like, well, because you're Baylor. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, and it happens. Everything kind of, it's slight, but things do change in an aspect. And I kind of almost want that to change a little bit in the future, like to not have those sites just hosting and to have just random ones across the country. Because I think it might even cause more chaos. Like I think that could be a possibility of causing more chaos, and it kind of just makes it a little bit more fun.
That's a great teaser. Let's hold that thought. We're going to pick up that thought on Sunday. Also, between the selection shows, we're going to have live shots kind of cutting in a little bit with the team. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll also have the original film Bigger Than Life for free, Brittany Griner, that kind of takes over as me and Caitlin and Obim are relaxing. Maybe take a power nap there for 20 minutes between selection shows. But going to be a lot of fun coming up on Sunday on Baylor Plus, 4:45 Central Time. More to come. Check out social media. You can follow Baylor Plus on X, Instagram, and Facebook there. That'll do it for today's edition of Inside Baylor Sports, a Sport and Story production. Thanks for listening. For Corey Bolts and Caitlin Bickle, I'm Justin Hoff. Have a great Thursday, and Sickle Bears.